Good evening, everyone. It is January 29th at 6 p.m. and we're called to order the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube page. Because this meeting is available by Zoom, I'm going to read Governor Healy's statement. This meeting will be available for in-person attendance and on Zoom. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which, among other things, extends the expiration of the provision pertaining to the open meeting laws to March 31st, 2025. Specifically, this extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of a public body physically present at a meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. This meeting of the Freetown Board of Selectmen will be conducted in person as well via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Town of Freetown's website, freetownma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may also do so in the following manner: downloading Zoom and entering the meeting ID listed below, calling the number listed below, and entering the meeting ID listed below, or by going to this web address and entering the meeting ID listed below. Although in-person attendance is available for this meeting, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we were unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website and YouTube channel an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive records to the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So I already called the meeting to order. So first, we're going to go into executive session. We're going to go into executive session for the following reasons: Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline or dismissal of or compliance of changes against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. So with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. We are now in executive session.
I just need to put the people in the waiting room. Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm back to our agenda item number 2 is discussion. And so this is actually, I should say, this is combined meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. It's agenda item number 2, discussion vote on whether to approve the following appointment: Kayla Churchill to the Finance Committee effective January 30th, 2024, annual town election through the annual town election 4/1/24. So
I'm sorry to say Finance Committee could not get a quorum to meet with you tonight.
Okay. So, Kayla, as you know, I'm sure you've heard that we found out that we have to have Finance Committee as well as the Board of Selectmen here in order to vote. So we can't do it they can't do it without us. We can't do it without them. So we're going to have to push it off to a later date. But I think to save you the time, what we should probably do is we can reach out to you when we know we're going to be able to get a quorum, because I don't want to push you off to the next meeting and then make you come back, because that's not fair to you. You know, if I can't get a quorum from them. So we'll have to find out that they can get a quorum, and then we'll let you know. Because it'll be at one of our meetings, so obviously we'll have a quorum. So.
And would we be able to do a Zoom call if that would be easier for everybody?
Could you just grab a microphone?
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my bad.
Sorry, Kim.
Sorry about that. I said, would we be able to do like a Zoom call if that would be easier for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, that's on the Finance Committee. So like this one we're doing this right now is available by Zoom. So I don't know what they can do. I don't want to misspeak for them, but we can make any of our meetings Zoom. So,
Okay.
so we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, maybe that'll help. I don't know, Margaret. So
Yeah, no, we were aware that tonight was also a Zoom, but I had 3 members that just couldn't make tonight work.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks for coming, letting us know. Sorry that you
Yeah.
came and hey,
tried.
hang out.
Yeah.
Plenty of things to do.
So
Thank you.
all right. So I'm sorry to push that off on you. I know, but I just don't want to see you waste your time.
That's okay. Do you
with
know about roughly how long? Just so I don't bug you guys and say, hey, when are we meeting? Is it like 2 weeks? Or?
So our next meeting is next week, but that might be short notice for them. I don't know. And then I don't know.
2-5 and then 2-5, then 2:20.
Thank you. So
I can ask one more question. So
Yeah, absolutely.
last meeting, Trevor made it clear that he wasn't going to vote for me anyway. So we technically already have his vote. Could you guys just vote since he did without you guys?
no, because we need them to vote as well. So we have their board. So even if all 3 of us were up here and all said yes or all said no, it wouldn't matter. We need them here as well. And in order for that to happen, Margaret needs a quorum in order to be able to hold a meeting.
Okay.
So she needs more
I
than
think I was
50%.
just confused because when I went to the meeting, I thought they did vote for me.
So there was a recommendation, but there was no actual vote, right? So we need to do a vote together. So that's where it's a little bit different. And we apologize because we didn't know there was a misunderstanding. So it was, so
Thank you.
live and learn.
Yeah, there are a lot of signatures if you look at the actual appointment for everybody's signature that's on there. So it's
Yeah. So there's 9. There's
Yeah.
9. So you would need at the very minimum 5 people to vote yes. And then, that means you have 6? You have 6 members, right?
so you have 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 6
I
members.
have
from the
6
finance
members.
Yeah.
committee.
You have 6 members, right? So she needs at least 3 members here. Or 4 members.
Well, my
4.
quorum is 4.
4, yeah, because you need greater than 50%. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, so we will keep you in the loop. I don't want you to, that way you're not coming back next week and waiting and so on. So that's all. So
Appreciate it.
thank you. I appreciate it as well. So we move on to agenda item number 3. Discussion and vote whether to approve but not release the executive session minutes from 1/8/2024. I don't have any issues with them.
Nothing jumped out, so it was pretty straightforward.
All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve but not release the executive session minutes from 1/8/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 4, discussion and vote whether to approve the open session meeting minutes from 1/8/2024. Same thing, looked them over, everything seemed good.
Correct. I agree.
All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the open session meeting minutes from 1/8/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 5. Presentation from Planning and Land Use Administrator on the Mass Trails Grant application for Central Park Trail renovation. Victoria, thank you for coming.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I know it's your favorite thing to do, to present.
Yes. Okay, so hi, my name is Victoria Alfaro. I'm the Planning and Land Use Administrator for the town of Freetown. And I'm here today to go over the proposed Central Park Trail renovation, which we hope to have funded through the Mass Trails Grant Program. So the Mass Trails Grant Program supports recreational trail and shared use pathway projects across the Commonwealth. The awards do range, but typically it's up to $100,000 for recreational trail projects and up to $500,000 for shared use path projects. It does require a 20% match of the total project cost, and it is due this week, February 1st. The landowner permission form is required, which the town does own both parcels, which is why the next item on your agenda is about the permission form. And like I said in the previous slide, we would like to apply for the Central Park trail renovations for the existing trail. So I just wanted to show the existing conditions On the image on the right, we have the trail sort of mapped out there. For those that don't know, Central Park is across the street. It's located at 2 Memorial Drive, and the trail runs through the ball fields. It goes up to the COA and then back towards the parking lot and past the basketball courts. So the existing trail is approximately 10 feet wide and 3,500 feet in length. It is across, it has access from the COA and the Central Park parking lot, as I said, and is, of course, directly across from the police station and the Freetown Elementary School. So the picture on the left just kind of shows a deep slope that would have to be addressed through the project. So the proposed improvements is to excavate and add an accessible trail material, which we're proposing to add a hard-packed gravel mix. We would like to reduce the slopes, and we'd have to install a small culvert to address runoff from Bullock Road that has been happening onto the trail. So just to stop that from happening, wayfinding signage, benches, picnic tables, the pet waste, trash receptacles. And the big point of this improving the trail is for it to adhere to the trail accessibility guidelines. So being, near the COA, having access to the COA and across from the elementary school, it would be good to have an accessible trail that people with all, forms of mobility would be able to utilize this. It's right in the center of town. It's a great location. Be a good addition to the park. What I have here up for the pictures on the right is an example of an accessible trail material. I believe that's from East Hampton. And then I just put some pictures of a potential bench that would be added and a potential pet waste receptacle. Those aren't necessarily the exact ones, but just for visual purposes, what it could look like. So some project specifics. So, like I said, this would improving the trail would expand usage for the town's senior and youth populations due to the proximity to the COA and Freetown Elementary School. So, I don't know if you remember a few months ago, or it might be more than that now, but we previously had tried to apply for this project through the park grant, but it wasn't eligible due to Article 97 protections. So the 2 parcels that the park is on, they're dedicated to Article 97, but they're dedicated as conservation land, and the park land is specifically for parkland. So it was just, a kind of a procedural thing that we just couldn't apply for that one. So the estimated cost is $100,000. So we're proposing $75,000. We're requesting from the grant program, and we provide a $25,000 match, and the match would come from staff time. The highway department has offered to do majority of the work for the trail. And so we've been doing a lot of planning efforts, as you know, and through feedback from the master plan, we've really heard that our residents want improved recreational facilities. So I think this is a good kind of first opportunity to start implementing that. I know it might be a little hard to see on the screen, but I did put the proposed timeline. So sorry about that. That's hard to see, but that is, of course, subject to change. We just have to submit a timeline to the grant program, and then, of course, it can be adjusted. They do give you 2 years for construction grants, so this is just a year timeline, but we have plenty of flexibility for that. And then that's really it. Thank you.
So 2 quick questions from me. Sorry.
No worries.
So parking lot access, that was something we talked about before. So we'll have access for, I'm talking about most specifically for people with mobility issues, right? From the COA as well as I know we had talked about the last time that we were going to make sure that part of the parking lot over on Memorial Drive would have access so that they could get right from, say a handicap van onto the trail.
Okay, like from near,
From where that rock is. So that rock represents where the path goes behind the fields from the parking lot.
Yeah, that's near the ball field parking lot, right?
So
Yeah.
it's between the ball field and basketball courts. So to
Yeah.
get there, you have to remove a telephone pole and then create a path. Plus that parking lot's a little wonky.
Well, that's what I'm most worried about too, is the parking lot, right? So the parking lot's not really that kept up. So I think,
Yeah, well, we just did the parking lot area, right? The parking
wasn't
lot.
Well, we did the parking lot for the handicap on the other side, opposite end.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but the other side, closest from the parking lot to the basketball court, is like millings,
Okay.
or most of it's millings and dirt.
Is there any way to get from that path where we just did the parking lot for handicap accessibility and we changed that the slopes so that would all be ADA?
So, looking at this map here, your ADA accessibility was put right here somewhere.
So there is a trail, there is the entrance there that they could
Yeah.
use.
So we just go opposite way, but to get here, all this is all millings or dirt, and it would also like older telephone poles and some, and from here to there is all stone dust and gravel, dirt. It's just a mix of everything.
But I guess
Dandelions.
at least if we have one access, I guess my question is that we have at least one access point from
Yeah.
both sides, and we do.
Yes.
Right, so they might not be able to go in on this side, to your point, but I guess
Mhm.
technically, if you're going to come in there and you have mobility issues, you're parking in a handicap spot.
Right.
So that's good. And then something else, and I know you alluded to it, but I want to bring it up, is that you said 75-25, but the 25 is going to come from labor. Is that that's what we're
yes.
proposing to them,
Yes,
right?
that's what we're
So that there's
proposing.
no there's cost because we're paying the employees, but it's substantially less than what just going and putting $25,000 there. Okay.
Victoria, in that area, so you mentioned Bullock Road and there's a runoff.
Yes.
There is, because you can see it. There's also some, while you go in the path, some down trees and everything else. There's also like some like ditches for drainage and everything else. That was the original way to kind of keep it clean. I'm assuming when we do labor, we'll go around, clear up any dead trees, stumps,
Yeah,
things like
of course.
that. And also, you when your design looked like it had some the crushed stone or a compacted gravel.
Yeah.
That prevent people from going off into the sides. What I don't want is like someone riding their bike or someone in a wheelchair and they accidentally just kind of roll into a ditch. We don't want that, right?
Yeah, of course.
So that'll be addressed and everything else.
Yeah, there wouldn't be. Yeah, a big part of the proposed improvements is to address the slope issues and to make it accessible for all users. So we would remove any safety issues, any hazards.
And one last thing is like, I know from that almost the same area you're showing that rock going straight into the trail, across the street, there's a bike path that goes into the state forest. So a lot of bikers, I know NIMBA, New England Mountain Bike Association, they park at Central Park, then they take their bike through the trail into the woods. We're not going to impede that, are we? Or maybe in some way, but shouldn't deter them from getting into the state forest and going biking.
No,
Okay.
of course not.
Perfect.
No.
Just in case they're listening, I don't want to.
No.
This is for everybody, not just for
Yeah,
people
of
walking around.
course.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I'll continue to applaud you. I think it's great work what
Yeah.
you're doing, and honestly, so
Great use of the property.
a lot of land in town, right? So let's get it to some good use. So, does anyone else have any questions or concerns for Victoria before?
I got a silly one more. Any chance there's some like lighting that we can think of? Maybe some LED lighting for when it gets dusk till dawn, people can use it longer? Just curiosity.
I mean, that's not a part of the application, but it's something that could potentially be added in.
Yeah, I just figured if we're going to be doing crushed gravel, things like that, you can lay the wire underneath it. I know it's 3,500 feet long, but lighting might look nice, especially with the COA and everything else. People, or early birds going for a walk, and squirrels can have something to look at.
I'm wondering if we can look into solar lighting
Yeah, I was just about to say, what about solar or something into
because I think
trees?
that would be economical. And I don't know. I mean, if it's the weather is bad,
Yeah.
the light might not work, but people probably won't be on the paths as much. I think you could always apply for a future grant to upgrade it as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So
Well, that's good that you mentioned that because emergency-wise, like college campuses have the like emergency station in case something's happening, right? You don't want anybody in that 3,500 area. Some of those areas are pretty remote, especially when you get behind the fire department, in between the fire department and the Council of Aging, just all woods. And if you do need solar, the basketball courts have 4 tall poles that you could mount something there.
Oh, okay.
That would be perfect for generating that solar lighting. So maybe 2 for 1 there. The courts get some solar power and lights, and then maybe, I don't know, future thoughts. So next time there's a grant available, maybe we can apply that.
All right, thank
Make
you.
the town a little nicer.
Looks like mine.
Victoria, can you go to the picture of the path itself? that you propose? Yes.
Oh, that's just an example. I was trying to
Okay.
showcase the material. But
Okay.
so that's an example of an accessible trail from another community.
Oh, okay. So I was just wondering about the edging there.
That was my
That's-
concern as well about the biking to make sure they can get through the state forest.
Well, that's the path itself, not the,
Compacted
but,
stuff.
but I was just wondering about, anybody like tripping over that or anything.
Yeah, we're not proposing that on our
Okay.
on our plan. I was just merely for illustrative purposes to kind of show what the
That's what the floor is going to look like,
Yeah,
not the
basically.
sides.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Excellent, Victoria. This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or anything before we let her off the hot seat?
Yeah, one more. Going back to what Jared asked with the 25,000 is for the labor. That's what you've figured out was going to cost the labor, or is because you had said earlier that it was an 80-20. We had to come up with 20% of it.
Yeah.
But that 25%, that 25,000 is what the labor is going to cost.
Yeah, it's an estimate. So we had GPI, who's an engineering firm we use, so they helped with the estimate. So that's sort of what it evened out to.
Okay.
I felt like it just made sense to kind of keep it that way rather than adjust it. And it might give us a better chance of getting the grant if we're committing a greater match too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Appreciate it as always, Victoria.
No problem. Thank you. Oh, did you want me to stay up for the next item or?
You can, I mean, yeah.
If you want to.
All right. So agenda item number 6, discussion and vote on whether to sign the public landowner permission form to apply for the Mass Trails grant application for Central Park Trail renovations. So this alludes back to what you had said, that because of us being the owners of the property, we have to sign for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm
There's too many pros, so it's a win-win.
all right. All right. So with that, I entertain motion to approve the application. Wait, oops, I'm sorry. I went to the wrong one. To sign for the public landowner permission form to apply for the Mass Trail grant application for Central Trail renovations.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Victoria, thank you again.
No
Sorry.
problem.
I fumbled that one up a little bit. So agenda item number 7, discussion and vote on whether to approve the application for the Patriot Half Marathon on 6/15/2024 and the Cranberry Tri-Fest on 8/25/2024. So I believe we have someone here for it. If you just state your name for us,
Sure, Jeff
please.
Smith.
Welcome, Jeff.
Welcome.
Nice to be here. Thanks you. Thanks for having me. It is a triathlon, not a marathon, a half marathon for the first title.
Okay.
That's important because it includes cycling as well. So
Very good. So yeah, no, I think we have all, it looks like we had everything signed off for it and everything, right? It was,
Yeah, I think it looks good to see the map right here. I'm assuming you've already spoken with the police department and there's the chief right
not
there.
this year,
Not
but,
this year?
in prior years, of course. Yeah.
We have. It's been an annual event. Things for the most part have worked out very smoothly. Extra duty assignments have been posted in high traffic areas to increase the safety. It has worked out very well, and I think it's been a pretty good attraction for our community over the years. I think a lot of the community has concerns about the traffic impact. But I think since this is a short-term event, I believe people make do and try to work with the organization to have a safe event. So, from our end, we try to do as much public notice as we can. We blast it on our social media pages, on our website, so it prepares the community that the event is going to happen. But again, we want to work alongside of you to make a safe event.
Thank you. You guys have been extremely supportive and helpful. We also do mailings for anyone on the affected routes within an appropriate time, so they're notified of the route. That includes the timing of the cyclists and runners on the course as well.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
And we could probably send out a Freetown flash if you think,
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually post it on our social media
Yeah.
and the website as well with the route, and we can do a flash as well if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge amount of people that get it, but there's still people who get it, right? And it's just another avenue to get the information across. So,
Oh, it says here about 700.
no, I'm saying us of the Freetown
Oh,
Flash,
right.
you know, of our residents, you know. But if we get to 2 more people via that, then mission accomplished.
Yeah,
so.
I think the flash is probably the most effective way to communicate the most recent information. So like the day before we send out the flash or first thing that morning. I do know that having lived upon one of the routes, you do change your schedule because you cannot exit your driveway or you can't get out on the public roadway. So you just tend to, if you know it's coming. So ample notice, I think, is very important because you will arrange your, so that you're not trying to fight the bicycles. And,
Sure, absolutely. I live on the Cape and have plenty of planned obstructions, so I certainly get in. That's the last thing we want to do is have a negative impact on the community. We take a lot of pride in being in Freetown and Lakeville and the surrounding communities. We certainly are empathetic to any inconveniences we cause, but we think that there's a greater benefit for the town itself, just on a notoriety level for hosting this event and for the athletes that live in and around Freetown that participate.
I'm assuming, Mr. Smith, this is open to adaptive athletes as well?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
We have a para athlete division that we accommodate for anybody who wants to do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, anything information that you have to help us promote it, put it out there for you, make sure that there's awareness and more participation, please let us know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So you good?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the application for the Patriot Half Triathlon on 6/15/2024 and the Cranberry Tri-Fest on 8/25/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. All right. So agenda item number 8, discussion and vote on whether to approve the 1-day liquor license application for the Outsider Endurance for the Patriot Half Triathlon on 6/15/2024 for Cathedral Camp location. So have you already applied for the liquor license?
Yes, and sent in a check as well and provided the COI from the distributor that would be providing the alcohol. We're not selling anything. It's just a sponsor that's providing samples.
Oh, okay.
It's been signed off by all the required departments.
Okay, perfect. That
Is it
was my
still a
next
whopping
question.
$5?
What's that?
Is it still a whopping $5 for the application?
I think it was 50. I
Oh, 50 now?
believe.
Moving on up. All right. So it sounds like we have everything and, we're good. Then with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the 1-day liquor license application for the Outsiders Endurance for the Patriots Half Triathlon on 6/15/2024 for the Cathedral Camp location.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes, I almost said yes to you. So thank you. I
Thank
appreciate you coming down.
Oh, my pleasure. It's nice meeting you. I look forward to talking with you.
Likewise.
I'd love to have a conversation kind of offline about some of the impacts of
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Do you mind?
Absolutely. No.
So we just issued a liquor license for Cathedral Camp location. Are they aware that you're
They are,
going to?
yes.
And they're okay with it because we didn't get anything from them.
Last year was the
And
first
ask
year.
for the-
Right. No, last year was the first year it was even brought up and talked about with them, and they were fine with it. So,
Okay.
and our USAT, I guess which terms, but our event is sanctioned by USAT. And one of the insurance requirements for that COI that we issue to the towns is that we cannot sell anything, but that covers the presence of alcohol on the premises as well.
I just want to make sure that
No, of
we're
course,
we're
yeah.
calling that location out because that's where we were told that the product would be handed out. Because basically, it's a sponsor that's just giving everybody of age a
Correct.
can of beer. I just want to make sure that Cathedral Camp, because you're going to be doing that on that location, is okay with them, having that liquor license
Absolutely,
in
yeah.
place.
They-
That was all. Okay. Thank
Good
you.
call.
Sounds like a great event.
We think so.
Thanks again.
I don't want to interrupt you guys.
Thank you.
No worries.
please
Thank
not.
you.
That's what we do. All right. So agenda item number 9, discussion vote on additional drop box for document collection at the East Freetown location. So this was something that came up a couple meetings back, and we had talked about different possible locations, and then we kind of pushed it off, and so now we're going to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
So I know it came up about doing something here, and then there was definitely some apprehension on my side, only for a couple of reasons, but one would be I'm worried about making sure that we get the stuff in a timely manner, and then I worry about safety of transportation of anything that from they say I dropped it here, but they could have just put a note that says I love the Freetown Police, and then it was sent over there, and they said, oh no, that was my check, and I put money in there, and now it's gone. So I do worry about that. And then one of the other things we talked about was like the voting stuff, and something that occurred to me as I got something recently was that anything that to do with voting comes pre-addressed and pre-stamped. So we don't have to worry about collection of that, because anyone could walk out to their mailbox and put it in their mailboxes, which is even faster than having to come to a central location to put anything there. So anything voting related, would it make sense to be put into that box?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't really recommend putting your ballot in your mailbox. I'd put it in somewhere safer than your mailbox. I know it's an option, but I'd rather just drop it off somewhere secure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I think that's going to lead into a whole nother issue of how it gets handled. And then they would have to separate it. And we don't have the town clerk here, but they have very specific guidelines as to what they can do. So does that mean that the town clerk needs to now handle that from here to there? So in that side,
speaking with the town clerk briefly on this, they were going to be here locally, let's say at the school, taking a right turn, picking it up at the police station, let's say if it's a police station, right? And then driving it. It's in route, right? So it was more of a labor thing, how much you get paid, like extending the person's labor versus from the time they leave the school or where the elections are in the future to picking it up. The great thing about this location, if we do choose to go to the police station, there are recordings, video cameras that are live and recording at all times. Mm-hmm. So that does alleviate some of the concerns of, is it left unattended? If we really need to check back saying, hey, this person did this person really drop this off at this time or on time? That's all done by the clerk's office. As far as mail and taxes and things like that.
But they have a certain amount, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought once the vote is done, they have a certain amount of time to make sure that they go back and put everything in, right, and make sure. So we're going to be able to get them here and have them verify that they picked it up in time, because it's going to have to be after that and get it back there. And then stuff in between, I guess. I'm just worried about how we're going to effectively pull that off with the amount of help that they have. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it's, we've talked about this. We're spoiled because we live on that side of town.
Yeah.
To the person who lives on the Rochester line, they're not as lucky. So I do want to try and figure something out. I'm just more worried about the ballot stuff.
Well, I agree with you. I'm always worried about the ballots and even regular taxes and everything else. So two different discussions, really. One, it's just a standard document collection for taxes, water bills, whatever it is. That way, instead of putting it in the mail, instead of paying 52 cents now, I think it went up to whatever it is for a stamp, you can just drop it off at a local location. The election stuff, that'll be dealt with by the town clerk and the elections office. But again, my understanding is that it should be pretty straightforward, because they're already doing something similar to that. They have to take the sealed envelope, bring it back to town hall, open it up, and then scan it in. So is it a risk? Yeah, everything's a risk, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just mention one thing
Please.
that Mike McHugh, the assistant assessor, he said the one thing about his department is that if there's, I believe it's like tax abatements, they are due on a specific date at 4 p.m. period. Like by law, I think he said he can't take them any later than 4:00. So he's worried that people are going to drop it over here by 4:00. But if he doesn't physically have it in his possession at 4:00, he can't count it. So I just want to make sure that I think this is important because of the confusion, right? If he's like, I can't take it, it doesn't matter that you dropped it here at 4:00. If I don't physically have it at 4:00 in my possession, I can't act on it. So I think it might be actually like February 1, the abatements are due. Whatever the due date is, it has to be, and I believe that's what he told me. We can confirm it, but I think that just rises to the level of confusion, right? If we're collecting stuff on, and I do agree that I think it would be nice to have something on this side of town for those people who are on the other end. I just think we need to be really clear about how we do it and make sure that we don't create other problems that are unforeseen because we're trying to do something helpful.
And then what about interest, right? So I drop my water bill today and, it's past due, it's collecting interest. When does it stop? How are they going to know when's the water department going to put it? Are they going to try and backdate it to Friday if they come here on Monday and pick it up, or what?
Well, we bear responsibility at some point, right? So we put an extra box out there, and if we're creating our own timelines, our own deadlines for this has to be in by this time or that time, then now it is our responsibility that we have to make sure we have a body here picking up those things on time. So if they're due at 4:00, someone needs to be here by, let's say, 3:30 in hand, to make sure they're logged in at town hall by 4:00.
But then I guess so my thoughts are I'm saying Friday afternoon at 11:30, someone comes here and drops something. Technically, if they were at town hall, that would stop accruing interest, right? But we're not going to probably send someone here on a Friday afternoon beforehand to make sure that they can stop.
If there's a deadline, if it's due January 1st, then.
But I'm saying always, because there's always going to be, there'll be interest. So then so say the water department charges an extra $2 and they're going to get their next bill and it's going to show that there's $2 due from the previous time. They're going to say, why do I have $2 on this? I dropped it off by this time, or they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I agree with that. Less frustration between everybody is the way to go. Ultimately, I think having the second location outweighs our own burdens that we've created for ourselves, right? As far as the deadlines, I think it's easily done by a text or even a sign on the box saying nothing beyond this time frame. Will you still have people doing it? Sure. So
I think the only other thing I'll say is right now, Tim from facilities gets the mail, right? He goes to the post office and gets the mail and brings it back to the town hall and sorts it. When he's off, we have to ask for a volunteer, somebody from the town hall. Will you mind running up to the post office and getting the mail? I don't know how easy it will be for us to collect the mail over here, because, Tim McIntosh will run and get it, or Chandler sometimes will just run and get it because it's 2 minutes up the road and they'll bring it back. But coming over here, I don't know. So just keep that in mind as well.
I just feel like I keep going back to it, is I feel like there needs to be clear-cut procedures because we'll have confusion. And then, listen, there's always going to be one-off things that are going to happen. And, I think as a town, we're more than fair and we'll try and do right by the, the residents. But we don't want to create more work than it's worth. Yeah. So I just don't know how we go about that. And do we have the department heads weigh in on everything and say what they think? So, you brought up a great point as to, okay, Mike's saying, well, this is my issue with it. Well, is Cheryl going to have an issue with it? Is the water department going to have an issue with it? Is the chief going to have an issue with it being here? Whatever. So I think we kind of need a weigh-in from everyone so we can have everything together. And
no, as far as the logistics of it all, I agree that there's some further discussion to be made. Having a second location, I think that's what we're discussing, right? I think that's a no-brainer, having a second location, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's here, whether it's at fire station, whatever it is, a second location is the right thing. Because it was brought up by residents saying, hey, I know it's just a stamp, but I would like everything's in a sonnet, and it is kind of a further drive for those that don't like driving. Mm-hmm. I get it. I understand it, and I respect that. As far as logistics, yeah, I agree. I think there's some fine tuning that needs to be done as far as who does what time frames. But that's something that we can definitely craft before Not to mention, when it first does get rolled out, it's going to be probably a few people that know about it before
Yeah, oh,
word
absolutely.
spreads. So we'll have time to kind of break it in a sense, right? Create the rule.
But
adjust it
I
as
also, I
needed.
guess the reason why I'm saying this stuff is because the one thing I worry about is us saying, yep, we're going to give a second box. But then we find out there's these other 10 reasons why it makes zero sense for us to have the box. And then the residents are going to be like, well, you voted to have the box, so you need to have it. Yeah. So then we're not going to look too bright at that point. So I guess I kind of want to get the input from the departments, listen to what they have to say. And if we can work out, I think we're all in agreement that we want it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think that there's an issue with us wanting it as someone who grew up on this side of town.
So if I could interject, is there anything statutorily that would prevent the Board of Selectmen or the town from incorporating the box and putting signage that any items deposited into this box may be subject to a delay in pickup, maybe whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours, that would alleviate I put it in at 10 o'clock this morning and it didn't get logged in, and I got charged an extra day's interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's posted right on the box. I don't know if it's legal, but you put a time frame. If you get your paperwork done early, you don't want to drive to Asona and drop it off. You don't want to you don't trust to put it in out on the street in the mailbox. You drop it off here. You might have to get it in a couple days early. Mm-hmm. Not that difficult. You just have to educate the people as to what the terms and conditions are to utilize that facility.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. That's to me, it was the logistics of getting a second box, is making sure that we iron it out before it goes live. Or again, when you first put the box out, you're going to have few people because it's not really well known yet until word spreads of social media or word of mouth. Logistics, yeah, well, those are self-imposed deadlines and rules that we make, right? So by putting information out there, it gives the public a chance to kind of adjust their day to make sure that's on time. And if we want to waive a fee, that's our right to waive that fee.
And I guess more so I'm more worried about the fee. The fees, listen, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but I'm just more worried about the confusion. So I guess my thoughts is, do we put something out there first? And I'm listening all years, but do we put something out to all the departments as to what do you see with an issue with this? And then we can weigh through it and then make a decision and say, okay, now we can determine that we want the second box, because we're all in agreement we want the box. We just want to make sure that it makes sense to have it. So
I have no problem going to the departments and asking them for their opinion. That's pardon me, in my back of my head, I probably thought that already occurred in some way, right? Or they've already, because I did talk to a handful of department heads and they were okay with it. But going across the board, depending on everything that's out there, as far as from different bills and fees, yeah, I have no problem waiting. It's a box. It's going to be there.
Listen, I know I'm overthinking this, but right. I just don't want to do something and then have it come back at us to bite us that we said one thing and we have to do another.
Sometimes our decisions come back and it's part of business. But no, I have no problem waiting. It's just trying to make it more convenient for the folks in East Freetown to get their stuff in. Yeah. So if it needs a couple more days, another week, that's fine. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Debbie, can we just send off an email to the department heads and ask them just to weigh in on it and to get their opinions, and then we'll have it, in a reasonable amount of time. We can have it in our packets and what their responses are in our packets, so then we can review it and then we can just talk about it and hopefully just hash it out and and then it gives them some time to think about it rather than me walking up and saying, "Hey, Chief, what do you think about this?" And I'm asking for something off the cuff rather than giving them some time to think about it. Once again, I know I'm overthinking this, but I just want to do it once and do it right. So
no, I'm okay with that.
All right. So I'm just going to say that we're going to pass on number 9 for now. But one thing we'll just do with the caveat that we'll send off the email and take care of that. And then I don't know that we'll have. Do we think it'll be enough time to be able to put it back on? We can talk about how long it'll take us, or how long it takes us to get all the responses back, and we can hopefully maybe even have it on next week. Might be a little tight, but if we can get responses back and get it on next week's agenda, we'll do it then. So that way we can move it along. To your point. So, all right. Agenda item number 10: discussion and vote on renovations to the town hall bathrooms. So I'm just gonna get to
Yeah, looks like we had 3 options that came in.
So, we've been working on the design of the bathrooms because we applied for an ADA grant
Mhm.
because our town hall bathrooms are not ADA compliant, not even close. So we hired an engineer. They drafted A and B. We had a meeting. Unfortunately, Trevor is not here tonight, but we had a meeting with all the employees. They voiced their opinions, and based on their opinions, the third drawing was done, which utilizes pretty much the existing layout, takes a closet out, and it takes a closet out of the assessor's office and takes the hall closet out, making room to make those bathrooms a little bit bigger. The men's room will have 1 toilet, 1 urinal, so it will be utilized by 1 person at a time. The ladies' room will have 2 stalls, but both will be handicap accessible and renovated. So we're hoping to get the ADA grant, which was due out in December, but they're late. This should be this week to do this. I just need the selectmen to approve whatever design or ask questions or whatever, so we can have a final design ready to go, because the grant is pretty quick. We need to, move forward. And there are a lot of other logistics that I will iron out in terms of, we'll probably have to bring in porta-johns. Because we have to remove the asbestos in that area prior to the construction of the bathrooms. So there's a lot of logistics that I will work out with Carl and bring back to the selectmen as they unfold. I just want to kind of get the design and make sure you're okay with it before we complete everything.
So option C, which was them going back to the drawing board, has that gone back in front of the employees? Have they seen
I did.
that?
I sent it to the employees. I got a couple of comments. 2 employees feel like the men's room should have a second toilet in it, like 2 stalls like the ladies' room. Unfortunately, I can't make that really happen without really taken out of the assessor's office, which I wanted to go back and move the wall about a foot to get a little more room in the ladies' room, because keep in mind, we wash our dishes in there. We don't have any other, I know that sounds crazy, but we have no break room. So we're not only utilizing the bathroom for bathroom facilities, we're using it to wash our dishes and whatnot. And the sink that it's showing on the plan is only a little sink, and there's no room. So I asked him, and he said, yeah, I have to move a wall. It opened it up to be so much more work and so much more expense that it wasn't worth the extra foot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar to the original drawing, which pushed it so far into the assessors, it almost makes their office not usable, because then it's 8 feet wide. And 8 feet wide is really not, yes, it's usable, but it really impedes the space, I think. In
Turn
terms of,
sideways around your desks and stuff.
So admittedly, I've never been in the female bathroom. So what option A, B, or C is similar to what's there now?
nothing. We have to shimmy into the bathroom stalls, and I'm not lying to you.
Oh, I believe it.
You can't
Make this stuff up.
I know. You can't be on the toilet and shut the bathroom door. Like, you have to shimmy in. Like, it's just crazy what. And there have been handicapped people that have had incredible issues using our bathrooms, which is just not acceptable at this point, 2024. But you walk in and there's 2 stalls, one on the right, 2 on the right, one in the front, one in the back, but they're both extremely tight.
So
We have a little, maybe 18-inch sink.
Are you being very generous?
Yeah.
it's probably the same we have in the men's room.
Yeah, it's
just
probably
a
the
very
same. Yeah,
small
that's
sink.
it.
So I guess here's my thought: is we were doing this to make it handicap accessible. All 3 plans do that.
Mm-hmm.
We also, what's the other thing we always talk about before this? Space restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's crammed into their space. Everything's coming on top of them. So now we're gonna impede into another office even more by going one of those first options. So in my opinion, option C is the best option. It was kind of drawn up by the employees. This was what, based on initial feedback that they got. There's 25 employees at town hall.
There might be about 26 23 right now.
23 employees. So it's not going to be that often that you're going to have multiple men trying.
It's about 14 female to 8 men. Now, don't quote me on that, but it's about
even
right
more
that.
so, So I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Carlos. But
So looking at these drawings, option C, I see the 5-foot radius. That's what that 5-foot buffer is for a turning around radius for somebody in a wheelchair. I don't see one in the men's bathroom. All right, for option C. So I'm not sure if that's going to truly meet an ADA requirement because you don't have that 5-foot buffer to turn around. But secondly, when I'm looking at this, I know it's for ADA to improve the bathroom, and we do need this, right? It's an outdated thing. However, I also think about the employees. I've also spoken to employees, and they're sick of washing the dishes in the bathrooms. And quite frankly, it's disgusting, right? You go to wash your hands, and there's noodles sitting in there, and it's just... I would not mind seeing somewhere carved out a refrigerator and a sink where people can wash their dishes somewhere. If it has to be impede into the assessor's office, or so be it. They have plenty of room with the map room.
But none of these options show that.
I know, but I'm saying to create an option D with somewhere that not every office has a refrigerator and a mini fridge inside their office. That's drawing so much energy for an old building. It's ridiculous. Great that you guys can do it now, but if we're going to fix this, let's fix it right. Let's create somewhere where people can go and have a lunch, wash their dishes, and be able to comfortably live in their space. Right now, doing this, it's going to improve the bathroom, but it's not going to improve the lives of every single person in that building. So if we're going to spend the money, I wouldn't mind seeing a fourth option.
Again, this is a grant that
I know,
we're
just
hoping that
my
will pay for
soapbox.
this. But I guess, and my other thought is, we're working on possibly getting the schoolhouse, which one of my thoughts was in the schoolhouse was to kind of get maybe a meeting room that might be helpful. Or then we might have some space to maneuver through the town hall. Right now, literally, we just hired an assistant to help in the accounting department, and you've been in the accounting office. And we sat there for 20 minutes having a discussion about where we're going to put this person, like what corner can we possibly give this person? And we ended up with, I don't know, is it 2x2 desk that we put literally in a corner to put another employee in the building. To take office space away to put a break room, which we desperately need, it's an awful trade-off. And today, I mean, we know there's issues with the town hall. The parking, everybody was parked all over the street everywhere today. You couldn't get into the parking lot. Over the weekend, the roof has been leaking. If there's a storm coming, Luann's desk has to be tarped because we don't know if the ceiling's going to fall in. There's definitely a crisis mode with the town hall, and I'm working on that diligently with Victoria and grants and trying to get us to the point where we can have a solution. We're hoping to do the short-term solution with the schoolhouse. The bathrooms are just, no matter whatever happens to that building, you're going to need handicap bathrooms. I think the last time the bathrooms might have been done were in the 70s, 1974. Maybe they're 50 years old. So this is just to try to get them ADA accessible with a grant. Mm-hmm. We can have them draft what a break room would look like, which would make most sense to be in that back corner. I just don't think we'll be able to do it with this grant, and not right now where we're so limited on office space. To take away more office space will just put us in such a hardship that we're already in. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you we are looking for corners to put people in. We can't even hire more people. We can't. Yeah. Because we have no place to put them. There's a regional grant that will pay for HR or pay for engineering that you can share with another town, and they'll pay the salary. And I'm like, okay, I could be the lead on that, but where would we put this person? It's not practical. We have no place to put people. A lot of work has to be done on the town hall. It's getting to a critical crisis mode where we're going to have to do something sooner than later. And I am working diligently to come up with a short-term solution, because I think a long-term solution is going to be a new building.
No, we know you are. And I know that's a kind of a tough thing to throw out there. Just that it's giving the people listening at home or watching down the road that we need different solutions in the future, right? Short-term solutions are great. Long-term, town halls, we've outgrown it in so many ways. But as far as this grant is concerned, if we can't get a break room for this grant, can we at least get the piping in place in that wall in the event? 'Cause that is the most logical area. Let's see if we can add the piping so I'm not redoing it down the road again.
So, Carlos, and to back up one thing, I'm wondering if it's not showing that circle radius because there's no walls on the men's room on the inside because it's all open because it's a single person stall. So you don't see any of the privacy walls. So I'm wondering if it seems to me like it would work as far as the turning radius in there. You know what I mean? So I think they're trying to show that turning radius to the wall.
Well, if you look at where the sink is from the women's, the sink is to the men compared to the door, it's the space isn't there because you still have to have X amount of room inside the stall itself for the grab bars and everything else. So it'll be tight, But if that's what the employees want, as far as the grant is concerned, I want the employees to.
But I think if we do want to go with option C, we do want to verify to his point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, that was the whole point.
The whole point, yeah. So the last thing I want to find out is if we only did one that actually became handicap accessible because that.
Right. Like looking at it right now from the drawing, there's a major size difference, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe my eyes are deceiving, but it'll be tight. But I'm glad it's being done because it does need to be done. Because you're right. At some point, town hall might be something else. It might be an annex or something else, and they will need to have ADA requirements to be able to use it as such. So, for the grant purposes, if C is what the employees have chosen, then I'm going to go with what the employees choose. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know, they chose it. They just didn't have as much opposition to it, put it that way, as they did to.
And they had their input, right? And that's something we always talk about is getting the input from the employees. We're not going to sit in here and make decisions on their behalf when they're the ones who live it every day. So shame on us if we didn't. So if we got their input and this is what Stark came up with and we think it makes the most sense, as long as the men's room is handicap accessible, then I would vote option C. Yeah. So, anything else on that?
No, I'm gonna go with you, Jared, and then choose what the employees choose, option C, with the caveat that make sure it's it meets and I'm sure the grant's gonna make sure of that as well. So I know how grants work.
And I'll ask them to have an eye to a future break room to see where we have to lay out the plumbing. It's not so difficult because there is a basement and we can always come up from the basement, but I will tell them that.
Yeah, maybe it's just me and the whole break room thing.
I'm with you.
It kills me every time I see you guys washing dishes or not being able to have a lunch. It's.
I mean, not for nothing. This week, one of the offices had a computer issue, and our IT specialist wasn't. She was taking a day off. And I'm very upset about that. But so I went in to help and I'm trying to shimmy in. I'm knocking there's just no room. So I'm knocking everything off the desk. I'm toppling everything over. I'm crawling under the desk trying to, it's not good.
All right. Happy stuff. All right. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to recommend option C with the caveat that the men's room is handicap accessible for renovations on the town hall bathrooms.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 11. Discussion to utilize the IRS annual mileage rate unless otherwise voted by the Board of Selectmen.
This is the rate of reimbursement for travel.
Reimbursement 60.
We have to keep coming back every time it changes to get a vote. So I just thought it would be easier to vote that. We'll just use that unless you otherwise, have an issue with that rate.
Yeah, as long as that works, okay, it's one less vote that we need to take because it's never really, it's not up for question, right? It's not the debate.
Right, we can't say no to that. Right, we can't say no to it.
I suppose you could. You could say we're only going to reimburse mileage at 25 cents. You might get a union grievance. I'm not sure, but
but why?
This has been the typical, so it just makes it an easier to just have a smooth when things do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it makes sense. one less thing. So, all right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to utilize the IRS annual mileage rate unless otherwise voted by the Board of Selectmen.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
I got right was for a second.
All right. So agenda item number 12, discussion and vote whether to approve the annual town meeting and special town meeting to be on 6/3/2024 at the Apponequet Regional High School Auditorium. So I'm assuming we've already got the okay from Apponequet and we're good with that. And then I don't think that there's any issues with the date, right? It's all we have in that bylaw. Is that what
I checked it with the moderator and the town clerk as well.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Questions?
No.
All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the annual town meeting and special town meeting to be held on 6/3/2024 at the Apponequet Regional High School Auditorium.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 13, discussion and vote whether to approve the proposed timeline for the annual town meeting and special town meeting on 6/3/2024. So, where the heck are we? Page. I think it's just, so we've already been approved for our location, right? And then the timeline is today, the Board of Selectmen meeting will approve the timeline. I don't think I should read through all these.
That's usually what the chairman does.
Yeah, okay. All right. So then on February 13th, 2024, there'll be a physical posting at Town Hall, Police, Fire, Junior's Convenience Store, and the libraries. On February 13th, Facebook and website posting. The posting will state articles submitted by citizens required 100 signatures for a special town meeting and 10 for annual town meeting. And from Freetown voters to be added to the warrant, posting enclosed. And then February 20th, 2024 on Board of Selectmen agenda to open for submissions on the warrant on February 21st, 2024, 8 a.m. through 4/4/24 at 11 a.m. And then on 4/8/2024, warrants and Board of Selectmen agenda to approve and close the warrants for submissions to be sent to the Town Council and Finance Committee. And then on 4/7/2024, warrants.
17.
I'm sorry, good catch. For 17/2024, warrants on Board of Selectmen agenda for discussion and vote to open, approve, finalize, and close the warrants. For 17/2024, send the final version of warrants to the Finance Committee. And then for 17/2024 and for 24/24, combined meetings with Finance Committee to review budgets and warrants. 5/6/2024, Board of Selectmen approve, make recommendations, finalize, and close the warrants. And then warrants given to Town Council for posting on 5/15/2024. And then warrants get posted publicly no later than 5/17/2024. And then it says suggestions to approve, to provide articles in draft form to both Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee as they come in to streamline the process. So that's something we've done in the past couple of years, right? We're kind of got them as long as we went along. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see any issues with anything on that. Do you, Carlos?
Nope. It follows what we've done the previous years. So it seems to work then. So I'm sure we'll again.
All right. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the proposed timeline for the annual town meeting and special town meeting on 6/3/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. All right. Agenda item number 14, approval of student nurse working with public health nurse for 1 day a week. So the nurse, I think she was coming from, she's a college student that was going to work with the public health nurse Lori, who obviously has a very extensive background, and kind of follow her around what she's
Yeah, like
doing.
training. Some
yeah.
training.
And I guess she's done it in the past and it's worked out well. So, it's another set of eyes. It's free. It's, I think it's on both sides. It's a great thing. So I don't have any issues with that. Obviously,
it's a great idea.
So, so with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the student nurse working with public health nurse 1 day a week.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes,
Yes.
Selectman Zager,
Yes. All right. Agenda item 15, discussion and vote on whether to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Carlton E. Abbott Jr. for consulting services 1/30/2024 through 6/30/2024. So, bring up here. So this is just a contract between us. So it's for, should I state out the numbers?
No, we don't usually, but it's just for consulting services
Yeah.
for, we had talked about this, about getting some support for some of the procurement stuff that we've got going on, some of and a lot of it might be even some of the policies we have for him to work on. They will then come through me. It'll be on a contract basis. I'll say, hey, can you work on this? He'll give it back to me. I'll review it, mark it up, do what I need to do with it, and then it'll come in front of the board. Everything will still come in front of the board. Just give some extra.
And he did to people at home and in front of us, he did a good job of putting a lot of policies and procedures in this department, right? That we lack on that side. So having his knowledge on, all things human resources and all that, as well as procurement, will come in very handy. So we can hopefully pull some of this stuff off of your plate. So.
It's been probably a good 6 to 9 months that we've had draft policies that we've put them on the agendas. I don't even get a chance to review them. And so we table them, and we've done that multiple times. And it's just to the point where I don't, every day I think I'm going to get to a policy. I can't. So it's another, and we know how knowledgeable he is, right? So I think it'll be good. It'll be help to get caught up on those things. It won't be a long-term thing. It'll be just get these policies underway, and at least we'll have a starting point, which we don't have. Like you're saying, we don't have it. It's not on an employee handbook. There's things that are missing that we want to get working on.
And the employees are asking for
They
it,
are
right?
asking
So that's
for
something else to talk about, is that people a lot of times they say, oh yeah, you're trying to, restrict on the employees, or you're trying to add things, but the employees are begging for policies and procedures, right?
You can't follow what's not there.
Exactly.
So it's tough.
So I think this was a great thing. I mean, I don't see anything negative with it.
I'm a policy and procedures guy, so this is I love it.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Carlton E. Abbott Jr. for consulting services for January 30th, 2024 through 6/30/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes,
Yes.
Selectman Zager,
Yes. Agenda item number 16, discussion and vote on whether to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Kimberly S. Fales for Department Assistant Services, January 30th, 2024 through 6/30/2024. So as I'm sure many people are aware, Ms. Fales was our previous accountant, and she retired. But our town accountant is slightly overwhelmed at this point because a lot of these documents that he's getting in relation to all the grants, it's become very overwhelming, on top of the fact that he's still relatively new to the position. So we reached out to Ms. Fales, and who has extensive knowledge on all this, and she has agreed to come back and working on a part-time basis to help us kind of get over the hump and get him where he needs to be. So to me, this is a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely. The grants, applying for the grants, the easy part. Maintaining them, as you know, Deb, is the hard part. It really is. It takes a lot of energy, to making sure you're meeting all the wickets and all the timelines. If you don't, the town's on the hook for that money. So we have to make sure those are tight, like
And
right
there is
and tight.
a lot. There's
Period.
a lot of grants.
There is.
I mean, Matt's doing a wonderful job. Just had an audit, no issues with him at all. It's just there's a ton of work that goes into the grants paperwork wise. And I kept thinking it's going to slow down. It's going to slow down. And we're still getting grants. I don't know at this point how many millions. I've lost track. We're at $4 or $5 million in grants. Some are 30,000, some are 10,000, some are 100,000. There's a lot of grants. And yes, as long as they're still open, there's a lot of paperwork and stuff. And every single one of them is handled differently, is reported differently. And he needs to be on top of that. So yeah, we've buried him, unfortunately, with the grants. He's doing fine. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like he isn't. He's great. He has no issues with him. But this extra little bit of reprieve, and it's only for probably 5 or 6 hours a week, up to 10 hours a week. It'll just make it so that he can concentrate on something like all of us, right? Just be able to get something done because he's got other, a little bit of support. So.
And I don't want to keep dragging this on, but I will add to what Carlos just said is that, it does create a lot of work. But then the other part is we could end up having to pay for it. But then they also find out that we didn't keep up our end of the bargain. Good luck getting grants down the road, right? So I think that's part of it. Is if we want to keep the good thing going, and you're saying, hey, they're still coming, they're still happening. We want to make sure we stay in
Absolutely
good record that we're taking care of them and doing what we said.
Yeah, and a lot of these grants are prerequisites for other grants, right? So as long as we are in good standing, your name comes up as Freetown being in good standing, you can go for other grants. It's a good problem to have, right? And I will applaud all you folks at Town Hall that are in charge of these grants for doing such a great job. It's a good problem to have. Unfortunately, we need some additional staff to kind of keep it going as far as the finances. So congrats to you guys.
Absolutely.
And ladies.
So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Kimberly S. Fales for Department Assistant Services 1/30/2024 through 6/30/2024.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. All right. Agenda item number 17, discussion and vote to increase the videographer's pay rate to $250 per selectman meeting and $250 for the first 2 hours and then $125 per additional hour for town meetings. So I think it's kind of one of those things where, town meeting, knock on wood, has gone pretty smooth, but as we all know and have heard the stories, can go on for a very long time. So I think in order to kind of help him not feel like I'm in here and could be making more per hour working at a fast food restaurant, we got to kind of give something above and beyond. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everything goes up and hats off to him. He does a great job. He helps us with a lot of the technology stuff
And all of this is funded out of PEG funds that we get from Comcast.
Yeah, well,
so
that's a good
this is
point,
not
yeah.
coming out of tax dollars.
Mhm.
I mean, and we can only use the PEG funds for very particular things. So it's not something that we could say, oh, well, we're going to use those PEG funds for something else. We really can't. And the PEG funds paid for this room, this community room, all of the technology you see here, but we're limited in what we can use it for. So I just want to reiterate that it's not
That's a good call out.
necessarily coming direct from taxpayers.
Yeah, and when you first look at the rate and you're like, oh my goodness, it's getting paid this much. It really isn't. The amount of work that gets done behind the scenes to make it all work. When you break it all down minute by minute, hour by hour, at some point we're going to have a discussion again in the future, probably increasing this as well. So this is a no-brainer. We have a good staff again, and to make sure that they're paid accordingly.
Yeah, this includes the setup, breakdown, edit. He edits them before they go out. So there's definitely more work behind the scenes than actual physically being present for the meeting.
Yeah, no, and once again, hats off to him because he does a great job. So it's something we get to take for granted because he kind of deals with it and we can not. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to approve an increase for the videographer's pay rate to $250 per selectmen's meeting, and then $250 for the first 2 hours and $125 per additional hour for a town meeting.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 18, discussion and vote whether or not to put the MIIA wellness grant to partially fund a pickleball court. So looks like we got something here that shows what it would cost us to do that. I'm not sure.
So this is kind of a fun thing, right? Meyer Wellness Grant, they'll give us $7,500 for anything that would help support employees or fitness or the town. So like if we were to have a fitness room at the town hall or even a break room, they would help fund that, like that $7,500, right? But we have no room, right? So I'm like, residents ask me for pickleball. I'm like, how much would it cost to put a pickleball court in? So Chuck helped, started crunching numbers, and I'm like, geez, is that something we would want to spend this on? I don't know. We would have to find a location for one. I'm not sure if Hathaway Park would be a good location. That was my thought process. But it was just something we thought we'd bring up to the board in terms of, we do get people calling, asking us if we're going to put in pickleball. Chuck, with his labor, can do it fairly reasonably. Still going to cost the town money, which then if something you want to entertain, we can talk about funding and where we could get the additional funds from.
So you said the wellness grant, does it matter that it's not at an employee's location? So what I mean by that is it can be over at Hathaway Park and it won't matter. We can still get it. Okay.
Yeah. Lynn's the one that's been mostly on the
that
phone.
is correct.
Yeah.
As long
Okay.
as
I just
it-
wanted to make sure that they didn't say, well, it has to be at town hall or whatever.
Yeah, we
As
can
long
put it
as
right in
it
the parking
supports health
lot.
and wellness.
Yeah.
And we do have Amanda from Open Space. I know you were here to weigh in on this, I think, as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think the general position of the Open Space Committee, so far, we asked for some feedback, and we support any opportunity that there is for recreation for people in town to enjoy. So I think to piggyback on what you guys just talked about with going for grants, if it's there, why not put in for it?
Absolutely.
I
So
mean, personally, I do think Hathaway Park is a great location. We have a committee meeting coming up in a couple weeks, so we'll chat more with the committee as to see if anybody else has other ideas. But I think Hathaway Park's a great location because it opens it up for like future expansion of just more indoor activities.
So can you do us a favor and just let us know once you have your meeting, what the outcome is as far as what you guys feel like? I mean, some of the stuff obviously it's under the control of baseball.
The application is due Friday. That's one of the things.
So we would have to move forward, and then we have to give the
We
location.
don't have to give the location. We just state that we're going to put in a pickleball court, and I have to give them the specific vendors and quotes and things like that for the $7,500 that they would cover.
Okay. So I'm okay with doing that part of it, and then it's just the idea of where we put it, but we can't. There's certain locations that are under contract. We can't. So in other words, we can't go over to Central Park and put it there, right? But if Hathaway Park
is fine. We won't have an issue. I did talk to Judith Gregory from Parade and Fireworks. I said, any issues? And she's like, is it going to impede the 4th? I'm like, no, it shouldn't. You'd be able to walk right over it, The quote that we gave you doesn't include fencing at all, and because we don't have the funds for that. It's just basically building the court, putting a couple of benches up, and that's it, in the net, and then people can utilize it. And Chuck's, Chuck willing to help and do his part of it, which is always, it's great. It's great to have a highway department that's willing to jump right in and do anything. And he is. It's just, like I said, it's just one of those fun things that I think that might be well received.
I think at the end of the day, based on what Chuck's giving us, if we got the grant, you're looking at under $7,000 for us to do something that residents can use and the employees can use. I mean, to me, that's short money.
Yeah.
You can't do much these days for $7,000. So,
And it's better use of the park as well. Let's say Hathaway Park is the final location. Like if you look at Hathaway Park, one, you're looking at benches, so you can look at the water, look at the fireworks and everything else. But there's an older basketball court that's sunk in with the ridges that if you play basketball, it doesn't suit any purpose at all. So reutilizing that space right there next to the flag memorial and everything, it looked nice. I think that'd be an improvement to that area.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that we did, like I said, we did talk to Parade and Fire. I don't think there's any issues.
Taking that
And
down.
it's something different, right? So we have a basketball court over here. We have that basketball court, and I'm okay with that because, I do like basketball. We have enough, our town is big enough that having locations in different places is okay, but this does offer something different. So I think that's something else that makes me happy, is that it's something different. It's not just more of the same, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll play the first game.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that.
Let's go.
We'll be recording.
Selectmen versus town staff.
Lessons.
Yeah, right. That makes two of us. All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion. Where did I just lost it? For whether to put in for the MIA wellness grant to partially fund a pickleball court.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. I almost started reading off in 19, so that's
And
why.
then we'll get with open space and we'll see what they have to say, and we'll come back for location once we figure that.
And I don't know of many locations, but you never know, right?
So
that's,
I did, one other person had mentioned KR Resendiz Field. So that's something we'd have to look at because that's under lease as well. So that's something, but I know we're trying to put a lot of other things in there right now. So that would be the only other place. Or I don't know if there's a spot up behind the COA. But we can talk about that. But I thought Hathaway Park was a good open space.
and I kind of like it to Carlos's point is that it does bring something different there, right? Because there's not much going on at that location right now. So it would be good for it. So. All right.
Yeah, there's also going to be a new kayak little holder ramp type of thing there. So again, it's bringing more life back with the extra benches. You can feed the ducks. You can enjoy the water. It's a win-win.
All right. So agenda item number 19, discussion and vote whether to approve the request for test borings on North Main Street by New England boring contractors. So, this is, does it say exactly where? Sorry, I'm going to get to
I don't think anybody had any issues with these. Chuck
Yeah.
had no issues with
Chuck
them.
had no issue.
No issues with them. I mean, they're not a big deal. They just go in and.
Yeah. Yeah, they fill back in whatever they
Yeah.
do for test boring, so it's not like there's going to be holes left or anything with it. So I don't, as long as, that's, I want to make sure is that what we have and no one has any complaints about it. So I don't.
No, we just need to find out what's underneath those streets so we know what we can and can't do moving forward. So we need to test bore.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the request for test borings on North Main Street by New England Boring Contractors.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. The one thing I didn't think about, I didn't bring up is we need to make sure that they have, if they're, where they're boring, if they're boring on the road, that they have the proper police details that we might want to, I'm assuming that's kind of common sense, but sometimes you're better off just making sure we say it to them,
I
right?
think it's under their liability insurance that they provided. It's all included.
Yeah. So, which would make sense. I mean, right? But it's just you. I never want to assume anything. All right. Agenda item number 20, discussion and vote whether to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Greenman Patterson, Inc. for surveying design for Council on Aging building extensions. So this is for the
site work for the pods,
yeah.
basically just giving me elevations and giving me what I need to get that project moving,
yeah.
which it's moving.
Mhm.
Very excited.
Thank you. So yeah, no issues with that for me. You good?
Yeah, this is just the cost of doing business, getting those pods in. So let's get them in there so they can have more different things to do.
Yeah, the seniors will be excited, that's for sure. It's been long awaited. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Greenman Patterson Inc. for surveying designs for our Council on Aging building expansion.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. Agenda item number 21, discussion and vote whether to approve the annual town report for our fiscal year 2023.
So I
So
haven't quite finished it.
We haven't, it hasn't been finished yet, so we're actually going to push this one off. So,
Roger that.
I will
be
get
added
it
to
to
it.
you soon.
to be added to a later agenda. Thank you. So with that, I am going to pass it over to Selectman Lopes.
Thank you, sir. All right. Personnel Board, item agenda 22, acknowledging this disclosure from Nadine Divine Diamond. So this is just a basic disclosure. She recently found out that a business with a similar name, Diamond Overhead Doors, somewhat related, and there was some work being done. So she properly disclosed it to the proper channels, and here we are. So thank you, Nadine, for doing the ethical thing. Item agenda 23, acknowledge the resignation of Timothy J. McIntosh as recording clerk for Building Committee, Bylaw Review Committee, COA Library Community Building Committee, Economic Development Committee, and Finance Committee effective 1/31/2024. Thank you, Tim. You did a great job. Item agenda 24, discussion and vote on whether to approve the appointment of Kimberly S. Fales, sorry, Kim, as Department Assistant effective 1/30/2024 through 6/30/2024. As per the previous meeting agenda number 16, we've already just voted on this, so this is just solidifying the next step. That said, I entertain the motion to approve the appointment of Kimberly S. Fales as Department Assistant effective 1/30/2024 through 6/30/2024.
Motion made.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
All right, moving along. Item agenda 25, discussion and vote whether to hire a laborer or truck driver for highway department. So this year we got that thing called snow. So it looks like we need a little bit more drivers versus a laborer. I think that's the best way forward. That way we have the proper people on the road to maintain our roads. Any opinion discussions on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's Chuck is down, drivers and.
Yeah, no, he has no truck drivers. He's got equipment operators, and he's got trucks.
Mhm.
So
I
with
think-
not getting the plow drivers like we usually get, the subcontractors, he's really feeling it when the weather comes along.
So I think we need truck drivers more than we need laborers. So I think it makes sense for us to try and hire
Truck driver.
a truck driver,
absolutely.
right? And,
Yeah,
and
and
call
he's-
it out as such.
Yeah, and
So,
he has the funds to do it, so not an issue.
Perfect. All right.
not a
All right. Perfect. I entertain the motion to put, well, let me, how do I want to word this? I entertain the motion to hire a truck driver for highway department.
Motion made.
I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes. All right. Agenda item. Thank you, Selectman Lopes. Agenda.
Interject, the last time that we put out for the truck driver, we had a very difficult time finding one. So we ended up putting out both the truck driver and the laborer, so you had options to move. But we did, so if we don't get it, I didn't know you're worried about getting them on. No, just the truck driver.
We'll go with truck driver first, and if we need to revisit it and put something else out, we'll put it in the future agenda. Keep it simple.
Agenda item number 26. This is for the town administrator
Yes.
report, cost of water line.
So this is got to do with the sewer line. So I'm gonna ask if we can do this on the next meeting, which I'm gonna update you on all the projects, the COA pods, the tower project, the sewer line project, the fire station project. I think I'll do it then because it's about to do with the using that old line, and I have the cost, but I forgot the cost, so I can't give you that information. So I want to. Just get a definitive from the board that we're not going to, well, in my opinion, not going to use the existing line and get the dam and all of that. But I don't know that that's how the board wants to go. So I want to give you the information on that. And I got the information. I just forgot it.
Listen, that's fine. Yeah, to your point, is let's have all the information in front of us before we try meeting.
I will forward it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, on the next agenda, I'll update the board on all of the projects because it's been a while since you've heard about all the little,
Trust me, we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
the things that are going on right now.
Just a couple things.
Phew.
So, any other?
All good things though. Very exciting.
Absolutely. Any other questions, concerns from anyone? No. So with that, I am going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
How about we sign?
Yeah.
All right. So
Good thing we have a good editor in the back room.
Okay, it's okay, sorry.
We all
I'm
know
gonna
what you
crawl
mean.
underneath the table right now.
This is the alcohol license. So I did it.
It's okay, Jerry. Did a lot of talking today, so that's
That's embarrassing.
This one was $5, but if it's $50, it makes sense.
I was just gonna ask if I can put the date there.
Try fast. This is the actual license. Cyrus Lynch. London Painters. Bill's appointments.
I just have one question.
Yeah, what you got?
The little packets that you get that you guys all have, are we able to get that, the public? Just because sometimes when you talk about it, it's hard to follow along without seeing what you guys are seeing. Like you brought up a graph at one point, and I just wanted to look at it.
I know we put the agenda out, so the agenda that he reads off of is online.
I saw the agenda. I just didn't see like you guys all have like little packets, and I noticed like the school committee sometimes has like their own little packets that you guys can see, but the public, sometimes it's helpful because we understand what you're saying sometimes, but it's like we don't get the full picture.
Because there's stuff in here that is not only, but some of it you can.
How do I access that? Just for next meeting or future?
I don't know. I love to think about that in terms of everything is always public record, so things that we can share with you. See if we can just make some copies ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'd be appreciative. I think even other community members would like that because I know going to other meetings, they're like, I want to see what they're looking at. But and I understand some things you can't see, but the things that we can, you want to see.
Right. Some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Because
Well, for the most
You
part,
put
a
it
lot
on
of
the
the
screen or something, so then everybody can see.
that's what I was going to say. The stuff
Yeah.
that you saw on the screen today from like Victoria's presentation, that's basically what we're looking at as well. For the agreements for the boring stuff, we just looked at liability insurance information, which is not really a public thing. We're looking at that. So it's really, I hear what you're saying, but a lot of the information we're getting it's just almost like B-roll material. It's just like, yep, go through it and get to the parts you need to make the decision.
because like we're getting the contracts, right? So when I'm looking at what I'm getting and I have a contract in front of me, what I'm looking for is okay to that point, like how I brought up about the police officer, right? So I'm looking through to make sure that the sign-offs are there and that we have the approvals that are needed. I don't know that we can pass along information because that's private, right? But it's that type of stuff. So today's agenda is 80 something pages, and I don't know how much of that could actually even be passed on. And truthfully, how much of it you would even want to see, because a lot of it
It
wouldn't
was
be
more, I think the question was about town hall and you were like looking at different options. So it was like,
those
A, B, and
drawings,
C.
yeah.
Drawings,
yeah.
So something like that could 100%
Yeah.
wouldn't be a big deal, or I don't know how hard it would be for us to have like that up on the screen.
I think we could do it. We definitely have the technology to do it. You know, we'd have to do a packet that was a public packet that was available to the public. and was just talking to, I mean, with Luann, I think we would have to have Lola here because Luann is trying to do your packets and your stuff and your signatures, right? And so to have running a separate like Zoom or separate thing, we'd have to have a separate person here to sort of run that because there's a lot of technology that she's handling with that. But we could do it, or we could always try to make a couple of extra copies and leave them out, and people can share them too, which might be an easier option in the beginning.
Yeah. And I guess the other really, to her point, I guess would be more if there's like drawings and stuff, just putting those up on the screen. Other than that, a lot of the stuff probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. So
No, I like the idea of letting the public know what we're looking at and discussing and basing our decisions off of. Maybe it'll help kind of bridge that gap of knowing how the government really works and versus to how we're deciding things. I don't know. I definitely think there's some room for improvement.
I do too. It's just logistically figuring it out. I do think it would be great if we could put it up, and then that would be part of the recording too, so then people can go on and see it.
Yeah.
It's just there's things that the public can't see, so we have to just make sure we're
anything
handle it.
confidential. We don't need to see. The stuff we can see, I know I want to see.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, we can work.
yeah,
on it.
no, absolutely. Good.
We have to buy a second computer. We're thinking we should have a separate computer just to run that.
You can be one of those people that has like 3 computer screens in front
Well,
of
we
them.
were actually talking about that. We've been talking about that too because we're talking about live streaming, and it's we need a second computer in order to do that. So we've been talking about it, working on doing that. Just a lot of technology.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology in this room alone, never mind everything else. So yeah.
But we'll work on that because I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah. Hey, anything that we can.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes.
Yes.
Selectman Zager.
Yes.
All right, sure.